Hello everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how I converted my rear drum brakes on my 92 F150 to disc. And I'll start by disassembling the drums on my 94 F150 outside. I won't be able to show the backing plate getting taken off, but I've got the ones I took off this so I can show you the 4 bolts that you need to take out to get it off. But if you don't need to see that, then you can just skip past that, and I'll start showing you how I put all this together and what kits I had to buy to do it. First thing you're gonna do is jack up the rear of the truck, put it on a jack stand, remove the wheel, and then remove the brake drum, which I almost fell flat on my butt because I expected this to be seized on there like it usually is, but mine amazingly just came right off. It might be because of all the grease from the broken seal. So next I am going to go ahead and remove all of the brake hardware. Now that we have gotten all the brake hardware out of the way, we need to remove this axle, which involves opening up the rear differential and removing one of the clips out of the spider gears, and then sliding this axle out. I've got a 13mm socket to remove all these bolts. Now that I've got this open back here, there is a bolt right here that you need to remove. It holds this pin in here, so you move that, you can drop the pin out, and then you can slide that axle in and remove the clip. Okay, I've got both wheels off the ground and the truck in neutral, so I can go ahead and rotate this to get to the pin. And now I've got an 8mm wrench. Now that I've got that pin out, I can go ahead and push on my axle inward. You can see that clip is now exposed. It's not in the spider gear anymore. can just pull that off. And now I can slide my axle out. Here's the backing plate off of the truck. There are the 4 bolt locations that you need to take out, and then take this off. Okay, so I've got the rotor and the caliper off. I think the rest of this you can basically see what I've done. Obviously there were some changes that had to be made to this backing plate and the rotor. When you order it, I think they'll send you an email, but you'll have to let them know somehow what year truck you have and all the details and everything, because they had to drill some different holes in the rotor so it would fit, and they had to drill some other holes on this so the backing plate would bolt on. But still, even with all that, the hole here still wasn't big enough to fit on the axle, so I had to file that and make it a little bit wider. So I did that. I got it big enough so I could slide it up over here. The kit also has the emergency brake thing on here, so it had some brake shoes and the springs and everything to work with this emergency brake, but I was not able to get that to fit on this. The axle sits too far in and it rubs against all of that stuff, and the rotor actually is a little bit too close to this too, so it rubs sometimes when you turn. So I still need to kind of grind this down where it gets close, or on the rotor itself, to fix that issue, but it's not a big deal to me. And they did not include brake hoses in the kit that they sent, so I just went ahead and bought 2 that are for the passenger side on this truck, and I had to grind down a lip on this block here where it attaches to the caliper. So you have to make the surface nice and flat so it can you can use this, or if you know of one that'll work with it, that'll be fine too. So I think that is just about everything that needs to be noted on this. If I can think of anything else, I'll let you know as I'm putting this all back together. So the first thing that you're going to do when you get this kit is you're going to take off all of the emergency brake hardware, and then you're going to bolt this on here along with the bracket for the caliper. Just use the same 4 bolt holes. I think I used the same 4 bolts that were on here originally. I can't remember what the problem was with the other ones, but I'm pretty sure I used the original bolts to put this new kit on. And well, while you have this off, you might kind of try to thin this out a little bit, or you can probably just go ahead and do it on this, since there is a little lip there. Just take that lip off of this, and you're also going to want to, I just used a file. It took a while to get it filed down enough to fit over there, but you're going to need to make that hole a little bit bigger. And you're also going to want to make sure you put that new hose on there and get that caliper connected. Okay, got it slid in all the way, so now we can go back to the differential and put that clip and pin back in, and put the cover back on, fill it up with gear oil, and then put all this back together. That I have cleaned where the gasket goes on. I'm gonna go ahead and clean out the inside of this as best I can. I'm gonna go ahead and slide this back in. Okay, so I got that pin in. I'm gonna take a rag and wipe out the bottom of this, clean out anything that might have got down in there. And now I'm going to try to push the truck forward and rotate this out just a little bit so I can get that bolt in there. Okay, I got the truck pushed up enough I can get this bolt in. You're going to want to put some thread lock on the threads of this so it doesn't come out. And you've got to get the hole in the pin lined up with this bolt. Okay, I've got it lined up. Kind of had to hammer it in there very lightly to get it lined up. Got the 8mm. Now we're ready to put the cover back on, so I'm just going to use some RTV sealant and put it around this to seal it up. Now the cover is ready to go on. Make sure there's no debris in here. Okay, so now we are ready to put some gear oil in. Okay, so we're at the front of the rear end here, and the plug is on the driver's side here. So I've got some 80-90 gear oil to put back in here. So once you get this all hooked up and that all hooked up, you're probably going to want to slide your emergency brake cable into the slot there, just to keep it somewhere out of the way so it's not just dangling on the ground or something. It's kind of a tight fit once I got done filing it, so I put some grease against here and around this centerpiece here to keep that from seizing on there, hopefully. And it actually wasn't too bad trying to get it off. I did make sure I didn't have to hammer it on there, so you don't want to force it on there. You want to make sure you file it enough so it'll go on there kind of easily. Okay, I'm just gonna apply some brake grease on here so it doesn't get seized on there. Now I'm going to slide this on. So now we're ready for this caliper. Want to remember to put grease on the mounting bracket and also on these bolts and the sliders in there, but they've got plenty of grease, so I'm just gonna leave them in there. And top side goes in there first, and then the bottom side swings down. All right. So then we can get those bolts lined up back there. You want to make sure that the sliders aren't getting caught up on the bracket. I've got a 12 millimeter, so you just tighten these up. So that's pretty much all of that. You also will need to install a proportioning valve. I got a Willwood one. It was pretty reasonably priced. So you just gotta plumb that into your brake line for the rear wheels, and then bleed the brakes. And I don't have much experience with these, so I don't really know, but I just drove it around and kind of adjusted it until I felt like it was right. So that's pretty much it, I think, for converting the rears from drums to discs. So I think that was everything that I had to do to get this to work. The most important thing is making sure that they get the holes drilled in this and the backing plate. So make sure when you order it to let them know what it's going on, and you might also ask to have this center hole made a little bit bigger so it'll fit over this axle. I don't know if it was just because mine's maybe a little bit rusted. I did clean it up when I originally did it as best I could to try to get it to fit, but it just wouldn't, so I had to file it. But if I did forget anything, it's been at least a year since I did it. I know I had to take a bunch of stuff off of the backing plate, so if there's anything I missed, just leave a comment, and I'll try to address anything that I might have missed in the description. So I'll also put some links to the stuff that I bought in the description as well.